Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's discussion, which is online, and it's about diversity and inclusion. This online discussion is organized by the Nordic Chamber of Commerce, together with patrons, which are the Nordic embassies. I am Lenka Andrisova. I work for the Danish Embassy in Prague, and I work as an advisor to Danish companies. And I'm really honored to moderate this panel about topic of diversity, which is actually also topic of the month of May. And you may have observed on LinkedIn, but other also social media that a lot of people discuss about it. We have actually two speakers today to talk about their experience and to talk about how their companies actually see this topic and how they approach it. And we will actually ask them many questions. The first of the speakers comes from the Swedish company IKEA. It's Roman Bojko, and he has actually specific and special position which deals with diversity. So it will be very interesting to hear his inputs. But we will also talk about minorities. That will be with Katarina Pěchovič from another Swedish company, Heimstaden. Then we will also have Lenka Königsmark from Mattel. She will talk about actually children and her personal story. And finally, we will have Petr Vyhnánek from Revédium, which is actually NGO which works on involving people with handicaps to companies. This topic of diversity is very up-to-date, and the issue actually for many companies currently is how to motivate people to work in their companies, how to increase also creativity, and maybe actually hiring people with various backgrounds could be the solution. And a lot of companies actually run campaigns to show that they are open to many people with different ideas, backgrounds, and also sexual orientation. So as I mentioned, this is the topic of this month, and we will also discuss it today in the morning. And thank you, actually, everybody for attending this online meeting. And you will have a chance also to ask questions, but that will be possible in the conversation on YouTube. So feel free to ask any question during the presentation. And now I would actually move to the first speaker, to Roman Bojko from IKEA company. As I mentioned, he has a special position dealing with diversity. It's called actually Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Leader. He has been with IKEA for a couple of years. He also worked on the sustainability issue, and he will talk actually about LGBT community. So Roman, the floor is yours.
No, thank you very much. I would just want to check, could you see the presentation?
Yes, I can see the presentation. Maybe it's just in the presentation mode.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So I just changed the setting. Is it this now better? Is it better, or is it the same?
It works perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Okay, perfect. Okay, I hope this will stay like this for the rest of the presentation. So thank you very much, Lenka, for the introduction. And thank you very much for the opportunity to being here. So as Lenka said, May is a month which is in European Union dedicated to the topic of diversity. And I would say this week is a very even more dedicated to diversity and the topic of support of LGBT. On 17th of May, we have celebrated the International Day Against Homophobia, Transphobia, and Biphobia, so-called IDAHOT. So that's why I'm also happy to share diversity and inclusion from the perspective of the topic of a sexual orientation and different gender and identities. So what I would like to share with you today is maybe a little bit of global of like a general issue regarding the topic of being a person of LGBT community at the workplace, but then also how do we as IKEA how do we approach this topic? And I would just would just say it's very it's a learning process. So, and I would say for a lot of topics in diversity and inclusion, it's a lot about exploring the inequalities and then tackling them. A lot about communication, education, making ourselves aware of different issues, talking to people from different minorities to understand. So it's a lot of about understanding our biases, but also the privileges we have. So from that angle, I would like to present you what we have reached by now. But starting from a more broader perspective, we as at IKEA believe that everybody has a right to have a safe home. We want to create a better life for many people. And we do see that LGBT couples share the same values as any couples. And love is a love, but they definitely could feel less welcome, respected, and they don't have equal rights and opportunities. So diversity of sexual orientation and gender identities is a fact. That's a fact. And the inequality or the equality is not a fact. There are inequalities, and the opportunities are not the same for all the people, and it can really be impacted by your sexual orientation and gender identity. So speaking from that, just reminding ourselves how much of the entire life we spend at work. So 1/3 of the working life we spend actually being at work, and actually only half of the people actually working from the group of LGBT. They openly speak about their sexual orientation at work, which means they stay hidden in the closet, or they don't really speak out and come out at the work. Very similar numbers also seen for the US, and what it has at the end of the impact is people not being able to be themselves, and have even a fear of people maybe finding out about their personal life, and then at the end there's the impact on their engagement, productivity, creativity at the workplace. Maybe some more of a numbers also from Czech Republic. So here we can see also the reasons why people from LGBT community that don't want to come out at the workplace in Czech Republic. So from the research 2019, which was made by the Ombudsman, you can see that how the people actually fear that this could jeopardize their career. So it can have a direct impact on the career. They are afraid of a possible deterioration of workplace relationships, and they also fear if there will be some reaction from the colleagues. From those, you can see that 11% of them have been discriminated, or from the workers, 11% have been discriminated, but only 9 of them would actually report such incidents. So that's why sometimes saying that it's in our workplace, it's okay, nobody says anything, there is no issues, I haven't heard about anybody speaking about any issues, then doesn't really necessarily mean that it's not going on. As you can see, only 1 of 10 person would such a activity, like such an incident. And one last perspective is the perspective of how actually are we as a Czechs inclusive towards different topics. So here I would say this goes for different topics, that we cannot say that Czechs are exclusive or inclusive people, but it really depends on the topic. So when it comes to the older people, social, like the social justice, when it comes into people of disability, we feel much more importance regarding the equality than we feel regarding the people regarding the equality for people sexually or romantically attracted to people of the same sex, so LGBT group, or when it comes to the people of different races, ethnicities, and nationalities. So there we don't feel it's so important to improve the situation. So maybe there is also not so much urgency to tackle the inequality in the laws, in the situation, in the workplace, and so on. So, I mean, we always need to also understand that perspective when speaking about urgency and importance of the topic, that first we need to do a lot of education regarding the inequalities, understanding why it's important to do such a change. So why for us is it important to focus on LGBT inclusion? So it's a definitely the humanistic point of view of the Swedish company, which where we see equality as a human right. So everybody should have equal opportunities regardless of sexual orientation or gender identity. So equality should be for all. At the same time, it's good for the business as well and for the customers, like broadening your or including more people from the society. You definitely understand the needs of different minorities. You also expand the customers who are willing like to shop or and then also definitely regarding the recruitment, it's the expansion of actually who are going to be attracted as a talent. So there is also it's a business perspective, and even when I will come back to the to some examples. But if you have ever seen last employer branding campaign of IKEA in Czech Republic, we have been using Store Stoma, which is bag I will be speaking about, the rainbow bag, as one of the iconic product used in the campaign to directly communicate that LGBT inclusion and diversity is an important topic for us, and such way trying to also build the brand as an employer. So how actually to create inclusion of how to create an LGBT inclusive workplace? I mean, that's a quite a difficult topic to do as for any other topics regarding the inclusion. So we have been working for some time with the inclusion model, which is adapted model from Winters Group. It has four different aspects, which I will now cover. And it has we'll be speaking about systems that we establish. So these are the systems, the routines, the standards you establish. Individual diversity competence and emotional intelligence. That's a lot about development of leaders and education, and then values-driven culture, which is more about the campaigns, the communications, and how does this affects, for example, our business planning, people planning. So how the topic is seen in a business agenda and communication and so on. So regarding the systems, and I start with less, I would say, more boring topics like a systems where we have a group policy on a human rights equality. So sorry, here I forgot to translate, but this is like the policies which defines the other how do we actually how human rights are affecting our policies and the treatment of coworkers. So here we don't have any. We have like zero tolerance against the discrimination. Same is for the code of conduct, which is something every new coworker has to also be educated or has to pass has to read it through, and then has to pass also some learning modules to get informed or that we know that the person understand what is the part of the conduct. And there it defines also the principle of cooperation, but also the way how to raise the concerns. So how you can actually report any of incident, as I was mentioning, if you have been bullied, for example, then what is the way how you can effectively, easily approach, who to approach, where to call, where to send an email. So it's a working system. We also, in this learning curve, we have been realizing there is more to be done. So, for example, what we have seen is that like in Czech Republic, the registered partnership, the couples in the registered partnership doesn't have the same opportunities as the one in the heterosexual marriages. So that's why we have decided to tackle by internal regulations the inequalities. So we are providing the time of benefits for birth of the child, for a wedding, and so on, to the both same, to making sure we tackle that, and it's really same for all. So and regarding a compensation package, we don't also distinguish between wedding or entering into registered partnership. I would say gay people don't use the term registered partnership. It's not. It's not. I mean, it's a weird term. And to be registered, not to be married, to somebody sounds very weird. So, but I mean, but we also don't distinguish between any of the forms of the documents you show when you are asking for certain benefits. And we also have a global guidelines for trans inclusion now to also guide to when we have a coworkers which are in the process transferring from one to one gender, to make sure like that also our HR people at the units know what to do and how to handle the situation. So regarding the competency, so on this module, the second part, connecting more to the education. So we have introduced the online modules, which are around 15 minutes, very basic about LGBT inclusion and also trans inclusion, are both online, available in the local languages. That's like a base. And then we use Idaho as opportunity to bring some topic, like for example on Tuesday, Thursday. Now we have workshops on with the Prague Pride focused on the coming out and the situation of people at the workplace. And so we have been discussing with many leaders, colleagues about the I mean, they can join and they can find out more about how to support their colleagues. So that's regarding the education. And here I just want to mention also the second part of the educational one, which is connected to the unconscious bias. So unconscious bias is, and also the unconscious way, how could we discriminating or creating barriers for the inclusion. So here in terms of talking about the biases, we also include the topics of sexual orientation, gender identity. So definitely we all have a biases also based on the what is the gender identity or sexual orientation of the other person. So we also tackle that topics in the trainings. And now I go more to the I would say the rainbow part, the colorful part. So the value-based culture. So here I just want to show some examples of how does this affect also our communication and how do we actually communicate this topic both internally and externally. So Idaho is a day when we bring the full spectrum of the rainbow colors. We really try to enjoy this week in a rainbow way, and very like a positive positive decoration and engagement of coworkers speaking about the topic. We also bring some education. So this is example of a slide that I was sharing with coworkers. Actually, this was last year in the like a common breakfast. So we were talking also about today is the Idaho Day, and then we just spoke about some things we can do to ensure that our coworkers feel more inclusive. Like a simple things that you can do, like call it out. So when you hear a joke and your colleague is sitting next and you hear a joke about the LGBT people, so you kind of stand out for the person and say, okay, I mean, not good joke, or I don't know, or you make fun of it, and then you move away from it, so you ensure that it's not so it's not addressed. And then also person maybe which unaware have done that is aware that there's somebody who could feel offended by that. So yeah, some simple things we all can do. We also gonna run also this Sunday on a fun run. So that's a way how to engage people, and also in a like regarding the movement and the health. So this is our T-shirts for the Sunday. We're gonna run, and so I have a T-shirt. I don't have the physical ability now to run, but it's okay. And then this is the communication in the store. So what you can see, you use the product, and also we communicate directly to the customers the items regarding the Idaho and the inclusion and the need of inclusion of LGBT community. So we use our products to remind them through the rainbow color the day as such. And this is example also from last year when one of the room said we have like profile as a room set of a two gay men living in. So we brought some rainbow colors, but also the story of them where when just describing the issues they are facing on a daily life. So we often use the stories of like who is living in the room, which you can find in the IKEA. So you can find I don't know, student which loves sustainability, and then so we also changed each of the store one of the room to this purpose. So store stoma is something we can see on many of the pictures. So every year we also launch the sales of a store stoma bag, which is the rainbow color fracta bag, and basically the profits of the bag goes to the NGOs which are working with the LGBT people in crisis. So coming out is often connected to a lot of stress, and it could be even leads to a crisis. So in Czech Republic we work with s barvou ven, which has been a great support to LGBT people in crisis. And we also raised the flags. This was the third year we raised the flag. Second year we raised the progress flag. Now the progress flag brought in this black and brown color, which also speaks about the LGBT people in different colors of the skin. So it could be a combination of the diversity aspect that can make you even more discriminated. I will speak about the example in the next slide. And then there is a white, pink, and blue, which speaks about people of a transgender community. So that's the difference which has been done to the rainbow flag. So we use that flag for second year in front of the stores in Czech Republic. And here, what I was mentioning is that, for example, one of the projects we have been supporting this year is Ara Art, working with the Roma LGBT community, where exactly you can see that as a Roma person, you are already quite could be quite discriminated based on your color of the skin or being part of the Roma community. At the same time, if you are LGBT person, you could be also excluded from a Roma community as such, but also be not included in the LGBT community. So you become it's a very difficult situation where you are excommunicated from your own family or community of friends, and then it's very difficult for you to find the new beginning. So here, just want to mention work of Ara Art briefly. How we have still time for that, so I'll just play David Tischer is a quick video speaking about his work and our support.
Ara Art je jedinou neziskovou organizací v republice, která se věnuje právům romské LGBT plus menšiny. Tento tréninkový byt slouží Romům a Romkám, kteří byli ze své rodiny nebo ze své komunity vyloučeni, exkomunikováni na základě toho, že patří do skupiny LGBT plus. Tímto bych chtěl za všechny IKE poděkovat, že jim umožnila začít nový život. Děkujeme.
Okay, so and the last part, I just want to mention that we also transferred this from internal, external to, I would say, even more external communication. So we always try to reach out to the media, also speaking about the topic and the actions we do. Here's just some examples how has been done this. This is from the last year, also engaging the influencers through the products, so either Anabi or Store Stoma, to ensure that we use their voice as well to reach many people regarding the topic. and also supporting others doing that. So Prague Pride and here Czeslaw doing great job regarding the equality for the marriages. So we'll be supporting the law of the law here. Maybe if you haven't ever seen the documentary Zákon lásky, is a very nice documentary describing the absurdity, but also the difficulties, how basically what is, and the opinions of different people regarding the registered partnerships and the wedding and making it equal. So I really encourage you to watch the movie to also to educate yourself and to understand more about the issues that that LGBT couples face in Czech Republic. And also, I mean, there's as action here. We have also signed up for the common letter from the companies to support the passing of the law in the last year in April. So yeah, thank you very much. So these were the 4 points of views. How do we work with the LGBT inclusion at the company? So from the systems to the educational to the communicational part. But at the end of the day, it's, I guess, everyone's responsibility, and that's so it's up to us. Thank you.
Thank you as well, Roman, for your presentation. And I have a couple of questions for you. And the first is basically when your position was started or established by the company. Has it a long tradition, or when actually IKEA, maybe in the Czech Republic or in Sweden, started to have a specific focus on this topic?
I mean, I would say not a specific purpose, but maybe what is changing is that we make it more systematic. So, but already 1994, there was a Swedish advertisement also that was also shown here, where 2 gay couple men were choosing a table for the dining room, and it's already kind of attract the people to start discussing. Then there was the catalog where there were gay couples in the catalog, so it was very common also to show the pictures of two same-sex people in the showrooms. So there was this, I would say, this layer, but now I think we are going deeper in not only communicating about that everybody should be equal and everybody should have the equal rights, but also being more proactive in designing these internal routines where we can also tackle the issues, where we can educate the people, where we can directly ask for feedback from the LGBT community. So I think this is improving. And if I can say where we are heading, where we are not so well still, is, for example, engagement of which is our activities coming from the coworkers. So making sure that they can establish their own community. So this is one of the actions now I have also in the plan, to make sure that we have this coworkers resource groups that people can implement their own activities. So it's not driven based on the communication plan or people plan, but it's driven by the coworkers for coworkers. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what is the general perception of the employees with these topics? Like, do they like these events, and how do they respond to events which are focusing on LGBT topic?
I think I think general response is a positive, but there are, of course, there are questions like I mean, it's okay, very common questions or comment you can hear. Okay, so when do we focus on heterosexual couples, where we will have a day or flag or so? And I think it's a valid comment when you are not like well educated, or because a lot of the same comments also we get from the customers. So why don't you focus more on people, on this people, that people? And I think it kind of goes with this graph that I was showing. How do we perceive different groups and the needs for the equality, and how much sometimes we don't understand the issues, because they say, people say like, okay, I don't care if you are gay or not gay. I mean, it's up to you, whatever you do at home. I don't judge everybody, but it's not about that. It's about understanding that if you put next to two couples, legally, in workplace, you can see they don't have the same opportunities. So it's not about comparing and focusing on everybody, but separately focusing on that group and speaking about what we have to do to improve the situation. So I would say in general, positive response, and there are comments and questions definitely as well. So then we need to kind of remind, why are we doing this? What is the problem? What is the issue? What can we do? So it gets more concrete.
And maybe one last question, which actually relates to what you have said. Do you also plan to focus on different topics than LGBT, maybe minorities, other minorities, race, or other minorities?
Yeah, definitely. So we work with topic of gender equality. We work with topic of diversity regarding the age, ethnicities, and inclusion of people with disabilities. We work topic with LGBT inclusion. So we work with different topics. We don't compare them. We work separately with each of them. Try to do best in each of them. But we have and for each of this group, all together, we also have. We have a surveys to give feedback. We have an inclusion index to measure based on the units, so for every store. And we have introduced the inclusion survey, where people can anonymously and voluntarily sign up, they can take different communities they are part of or groups, and then also give direct feedback of how well they feel included, or if they can feel they can be themselves, if they have ever been discriminated at work, so they can give also direct feedback based on the community they are part of. So this is how we collect also from different groups the feedback.
Thank you so much, Roman, for your contributions. And now we will move to our next speaker. And it's also nice that we actually now have the furniture already purchased, and we can go to somebody who offers also the flats and actually rental housing. And that is the Swedish company Heimstaden. And we will have today Katarina Pechovic with us. Katarina is a spokesperson of this company, but also she deals with social responsibility projects. And she will talk about actually programs not only for Roma minority. So Katarina, the floor is yours. So you can also show us what you have prepared for us.
Thank you, Lenka, for introduction. I hope you can hear me well. My name is Katarina Pechovic, and I work for Heimstaden as a spokesperson, and I'm responsible for some social programs. And I'm gonna tell you how we approach to customer of Roma minority. Lea asked me to introduce our best practice and success stories. So I have no presentation, but I prepared a few pictures which we will see later. First, let me introduce our company in basic lines. We are member of Nordic Chamber almost 1 year, and we become a part of this large family very soon after we was bought by Ivar Tollefsen and Sweden company Heimstaden. Heimstaden is one of leaders in European real estate market, and it is the third largest provider of rental housing in Europe. And we are number one in Czech Republic. In Czech Republic, we own nearly 43,000 rental apartments, mainly in Moravia Silesian region. About 80,000 clients live in our flats, and there is a really wide range of people and different target groups. And of course, each has different needs, different issues, different priorities and lifestyle. So we try to have some service or benefit to each of them, so that they would really feel that we care. For a brief picture, we have almost 4,000 seniors over the age 70 who live alone. So therefore we hired, for example, social worker who helps them for example, adjust apartment, ensure medical care, help with ordering social services, etc. Next example, we have almost 3,000 commercial spaces, and therefore we established our business center that helps entrepreneurs on their start line. So, for example, during lockdown, we help them manage a whole administrative process regarding subsidies. But there is group of people we need to help more, and we have to be in let's say a closer contact with. It's because they are in a very difficult life situation that they cannot deal with their own, and there is even a large group of people for whom housing is totally unavailable for several reasons. For example, single mothers or single fathers, of course, young families who stand on their own for first time, victims of domestic violence, people in debt traps, or children from foster families, and etc. And among these people, we can observe several common signs. For example, they cannot manage financial situation. They have traumas to deal with, and probably need psychological support and guidance regularly and frequently. They often do not manage interpersonal relationships, and they lack motivation. And I dare say that motivation is just our added value we can provide or trying to provide them. For today, as you already said, we have chosen topic minorities and Roma people, because really large percentage in some localities are people people in this vulnerable group are Roma people from Roma minority. In other words, programs aimed at social disadvantaged population very often cover our intention to care of this minority. We have a relatively robust tenant system that goes far beyond the normal business and beyond the landlord's responsibilities. For example, we have our own specialist who is full-time employee and deals with tenants in difficult life circumstances. He can give them advice how to handle difficult life situations. For example, when somebody or someone becomes a widow or widower, or one of parents becomes disabled, and contributions need to be settled. But we do not consider ourselves as a minority expert. We do not provide a registered service as a company. We do not have a license for it, and therefore we cooperate with a number of proven and reliable NGOs. The target group I'm talking about needs to provide social work in one package in addition to housing. The system called social housing or social living is still not covered by any law, but the law of affordable housing has been preparing several years, and we are one of source of inspiration for our experiences, especially for Ministry of Labor and Social Affairs. We run a social housing program with 20 non-profit organizations, to which we rent more than 1,000 flats. In other words, we provide an apartment to non-profit organization, and this NGO rents it to client, who is our subtenant, while also providing social services. we as an owner do not provide any discounts, but we contribute to social work. That means almost 13 million crown per year. And if a client is keeping fulfilling his obligations, at least for 2 years, he can become our direct client. In this process, client stays in an apartment where he has already established his social relations. We have the longest and widest cooperation with NGO called Porta Vita. Porta Vita provides housing to households in housing need who couldn't otherwise obtain any housing and would become completely homeless. Currently, Porta Vita is managing approximately 500 flats, or more than 500 flats, and the selection of flats depends on the vacant housing capacity of Heimstaden in selected localities. Porta Vita operates mainly in Havířov, Šumberk, Karviná, Orlová, and Ostrava, part Kunčičky. Social work is based on regular meetings with families where gradual steps are set, and each client is different, of course, and brings different problems, different issues from previous life. So it's a great advantage that social workers have office exactly in a housing locality, so then clients can come for advice at any time. Porta Vita and Heimstaden representatives meet regularly with municipality representatives and welfare department workers. We are members of many platforms, and we join to the process of development of localities. Intention is to improve local climate and of course build better relationships because that has a very lot to do with feeling of safety. In other words, we try to replace anonymity among people for quality neighborly relations. We involve everyone who cooperate. We cooperate with local activities, active people. We communicate with volunteers, city representatives, and we create not only community of residents, but also community of activists. And residents can gradually become activists. I would like to show you some pictures. So give me a second. Okay, here it is.
Yes, we can perfectly see it.
Perfect. Mm-hmm. So, as I said, we organize community activities and workshops, and here is Christmas event on Masaryk Square in Havířov. It's a tradition. It has big tradition. This event is very popular. Then we organize workshops and meetings for mothers and street workers. Actually, play the role of local leaders because the original Roma leader is missing. in this community. The same is in Havířov, Šumberk, in Ostrava, Kunčičky, and in Orlova. But we keep trying to involve Roma people to creative process. Social workers already know many people personally and can identify those who want to do more for community. Our last experiences shows that especially Roma women desires to participate and participate on the development of locality. So this is example. In Havířov, five women currently decided to rent unused commercial space to organize community activities here. It was used to be pub, the lowest quality pub called Bivoy, and we help to those women with administration to set up their own NGO, and it will be pleasure to cover part of costs of events. People in such localities need to be constantly motivated. For these people, success is motivation. For example, when children are happy, when city mayor and landlord cares of them and knows them personally. De facto, if they are to illuminate surroundings, they themselves must shine and shine for a long time. Actually, it's like with employees. You want to save their enthusiasm, and you have to dedicate them attention. Maybe this is common for all of us. Another example you can see is best practice in Ostrava Kunčičky. Here operate several NGOs, and it is the same model. We provide apartments and cover by financial contribution social work. Each street and each house is under control of social workers. Among them are several personalities, very strong personalities, who are perceived with big respect, and they are mostly Romani women. Again, who, for example, organize cleaning events. You can see in this picture, and so on. Another great example where we successfully proved to reach out to the Roma minority is Orlova. Portavita organization also operates there, and large representation of Roma minority lives in a small locality called Poruba. Residents are bothered by clutter in public spaces, and no one wants to take responsibility for cleaning. Looking for excuses, of course, blaming each other for the mess, and they refuse to clean up. The same was about common spaces in houses. They all pretended they are not responsible for that. So that's why we took the first step, and we thought, okay, if you want something to change, you have to take an action. Mm-hmm. So we showed them personally that taking action is to break a comfort zone. So we decorated community room. We can see it on this picture. We decorated community room by our own, but not with flowers and decorations in ordinary way. We used to reuse furniture the realization really shocked locals because it was really very fresh, and they immediately want to join too. We said, okay, we can do a pilot experiment, but you will do it on your own. So it happened. The whole even took place 2 weeks ago, and you can see that the result is really surrealistic. Enthusiasm continued, and because the locals wanted more. So we told them, okay, why not? But again, you have to get involved yourself. So Heimstaden bought flowers and pots, and Porta Vita invited locals. And next week, women and children met and decorated the windows with flowers, and deputy of mayor and mayor also joined. It was a really big event. So this was very important for the locals because they felt unique. The fact that the feeling of uniqueness is for Roma minority the greatest motivation, and not only for Roma minority. It's common for many people. We can I can tell you about Patrick, who was a participant of our another program called Home with Us. This program provides to children living foster families fully equipped housing with discount rent. Condition is cooperating with social worker in period at least 2 years, and about 30 young people have already gone through this program, and now most of them are living independently. Not easy beginning for Patrick. You can see him in picture. He learned to manage money. He liked discipline, but he proved to be a talented person who can really very well communicate, and especially with Roma minority. So we gave him opportunity to try working as a street worker under Porta Vita, and now is he is employee of Porta Vita, and he can influence other people. Last year, activities of Porta Vita was evaluated by University of Ostrava, Faculty of Social Studies, and it was found that thanks to systematic long-term cooperation, people feel more safe, and their mental well-being increases for up to a third of clients. Social work is not only or not about numbers, but it's about quality, and we think that every single story is strong, and very happy end counts, because we believe that if we create an island of positive-minded people, these people can influence other people, and this is not miracle, this is fact. So I would like to say that we really put a lot of effort to caring of people in difficult life situations. Of course, it would be much more easier for us if we had only trouble-free tenants, but each of us can fall down to the bottom, and people change, move forward. We believe that, and move forward thanks new experiences. And we believe that everything and everybody has its own dynamic. We are very happy that our new owner, perceives that this is real value, and perceive these human values. And as we say, last but not least, I like telling these success stories. So if you have any question to me, here I am. This is very, very difficult issue, and sometimes we go 2 steps and have to move back 1 step and go right and go left, and this is a never-ending story.
Thank you so much, Katerina, for sharing with us your best practice and actually rental housing, especially targeted on lower income people, but Roma minority as well. That was really interesting. And I have to say that I personally haven't seen any project similar to this. So
thank you
for that. And my question would be basically, if you work with a purely Roma NGO, for instance, on some of the projects, and what is your experience with that? You have already mentioned that you work with Roma women, which was, again, very interesting for me to know. But is there also an NGO you work with?
Yes, in Karviná is an organization which calls Association of Roma people of Moravia and Silesian region, and it has a very large member of membership. Yeah, we cooperate with them regarding client grants. I didn't mention it, but Heimstaden announces each year a small grant system for tenants to cover small expenses. And this year it's going to start in next weeks. So it's to cover, for example, expenses for talent children. And this association helps us to reach out families with talent children, and help filling applications forms, because it could be for some people quite difficult. We know that we have to do it a little bit, simplify it, yeah. But thanks to this cooperation, we can reach out a very, very large tenant group. And the cooperation with this group is very specific, because it's about staying in touch, and it's about regular meetings, because as I already said, we need to maintain their motivation. So this association can help us to be in closer cooperation with these tenants.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much. My last question for you is: do you also work on perception of neighbors to localities where your tenants live?
Neighbors' perception, it's a very difficult issue, because people has in Moravia Silesian region still have closer minds, so we have to open their minds and improve relationships. We hope that, for example, thanks our community centers, I didn't mention it, we have community centers in these three cities. We can organize meetings or events and work on let's say stronger relationships. Yeah, so it's a long process.
Thank you so much. And now we will move to another speaker. And thank you so much, Katarina. We will move to another topic and another speaker. We have also today with us Lenka Helena Königsmark. And interestingly, she's from not a Nordic company, but from American company, which is Mattel. She's their marketing and PR manager. And I'm actually happy that we are also diverse in case of origin of companies which we have invited. So Lenka, she will share with us her story and her family story, because she wants to tell us more about her child. And I will now give the floor to Lenka to actually share with us what she has prepared for us.
Thank you, Annie. And thank you all for giving me this opportunity, especially to Lea. Originally, I worked with at Lego company. So I am actually connected to the Nordic Chamber. And this is why and how we met many years ago with Lea. You don't say how long ago, so, but some years ago. And so, do you see my presentation? Just to be 100% sure. Not yet.
Yeah, it will shortly come. And I think something is already going on. And we you just can switch into presentation.
A full presentation mode, which I apologize because it was.
Yeah, which one?
Sorry, I apologize, because we were actually training it, and to be honest,
and it always also happens to me. Maybe it could be in the view section.
Oh yeah, that was the view, and it was
down there, full screen maybe.
Full screen mode, yes, and I apologize. Sorry.
No problem at all. Thank you.
So I joined Mattel 9 years ago, and yes, it was a very different experience to the Nordic companies such as Lego was and is. But on the other hand, of course, there are always pluses and minuses. And I have seen throughout the years a big change in social responsibility and in toys that we offer to kids. It is actually because Mattel is responsible for many brands, but let's say flagship is Barbie. And in 2016, Barbie has finally decided that she will be diverse. So we started, and nowadays we deliver to the market many different Barbies, many different shapes of bodies, skin colors, eyes, but also, and soon you will understand why, which is very close to my heart, is that we also do have wheelchair Barbie, wheelchair Ken. We have toys with vitiligo, with prosthetic leg, because I do believe, and the company as well, that it is our duty, as we do show children, or we are, let's say, witnessing the path of kids towards their future. So to equip them the best we can, and to also show them that the world is very diverse, very colorful, and that things may happen. What I am going to mainly talk about, and very briefly, don't be afraid, is resilience and agility. Because I believe that these days, this is the most important thing that we all need. It has grown in importance during COVID, because life of everyone has changed. And it has changed a lot from day to day. And we had to simply accommodate to a new normal. So being suddenly short of freedom. We couldn't go outside. We couldn't buy what we want. Some of us were fearing, of course, their jobs, if they are going to exist. Some of us were just juggling how to do with kids and homeschool and everything. And besides that, we had to work, right? So I remember those days when we were really doing plan A, plan B, plan C, D, I don't know what. We were working nights because people couldn't work in the days because they had to take care of the kids. So it was a very tough time. And I had a feeling that my previous experience actually helped me to accommodate easier. Because some of you might know, some of you don't. 6 years ago, I gave a birth to a second child. Everything was lit by sun, but then after a couple of months, we have realized that he is disabled. So the nightmare comes and your world is in ruins because you never expect that this could happen and that this could happen to you. So I think I'm quite equipped with working on a sudden change in a life when nothing seems as it was before. And I think I can also say that there is always a silver lining to everything, and that a human nature is so strong that you can overcome all obstacles, all odds. So that's why I was actually having, at that time of COVID, couple of presentations also for Mattel in the European scale, because people, I believe, have a tendency and they do need to see positive examples. So I was, a little bit serving as a positive example. I hope so. So it was a lot about resilience, the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, as you can see there, and agility, because we need to move quickly and easily. So yes, and believe me, I am Taurus, born Taurus. So I love regime. I love discipline. I love things do not changing. And this is daily. It was daily, challenging me that somehow things that were valid yesterday are not valid today. So yes, we have to be very, very flexible, think quickly. Sometimes I remember when we were growing up, it was different because we were forced to know everything deep down. But these days you are sometimes just, a little bit on the surface because none of us can really absorb all the knowledge. So yeah, but then that's why we have Uncle Google, so we can find that easily. But sometimes when my 10-year-old son comes from school and he has such a weird questions and I go like, I don't know. So, we Google it and then you will know, So, yeah, it's sometimes difficult, either to go down, deep inside or being on the surface. So I do believe that these days, agility and resilience are, well, I wouldn't say maybe two most important things, but very important things in our life. We could actually see it after Christmas in February when we all thought, okay, COVID is gone, fine. And then the war came, which has severely impacted our countries, neighboring countries to Ukraine, specifically Slovak Republic, Czech Republic, Poland. I am part of the Ukrainian philanthropy team within Mattel. So we see daily. And believe me that the situation that is here is very vivid, but it is nothing compared to Poland, where they have more than 2 million people. And basically everyone I know from Mattel has some families at home, etc. So the situation is even, I wouldn't say worse, but let's say maybe more flexible in Poland. So when all these things, and I believe, and I am happy that we live at a time when companies and us as well do believe that it is important to be balanced at work and at home. Because I remember 20 years ago, your value was perceived as, I am a manager or director or CEO. That means you have a high value. But nowadays, it's a combination, not only, of course, how successful you are within your job, but also if you have time for other things, if you have time for the family, for yourself, for simply for life. So I am really happy that I am living and working in these days, because we have, in a way, compared to 20, 30 years ago, a great freedom. And what has taught me in life is, and you can read it on the screen, is that it is an old, I think, British or English proverb. If a man does not master his circumstances, then he's bound to be mastered by them. So I think that sometimes simply you have to realize, okay, this is as it is, and I need to live it through. Because sometimes, and I was like that before, just, pushing to the wall and trying to break it. But maybe sometimes there are simple situations that you cannot change it. So, sorry, you need to find a way how to live with that. And as also another proverb says, if a life gives you lemon, make a lemonade, which I think is one of the coolest things I have ever heard. So the story, it's just, in a couple of words, when we find out our son is sick, very sick, and with very dim forecast. That means you are ruined. You have one elder child, and then you don't know, okay, what do we do? So you are feeling really very low. You go to the hospitals. I was lucky, even though the American companies are perceived, like very tough capitalistic companies, they've always treated me with the utmost respect. And anytime I asked for a home office, I was basically working from home office long before COVID to be able to take care of my son together with my husband. So they are really a great company, even though they're Americans. So we decided not to give up. Until today, we do not have a diagnosis of my son. So it is something between earth and sky, but we simply work. For some time, you believe that miracle will come. Somebody will come and knock some button and everything will be great. It's not true. So it is a daily exercise and therapies and love that you give. And so, yeah, we struggled. You lose your faith, then you regain it. Well, sometimes they tell you he will be paralyzed and lying in the bed, and nothing will be like that. But that's not the truth. He is already on a wheelchair. He's not talking, but he does understand. And believe me, even though he is not really talking, he can exactly tell you in his way what he wants, as every child. He's a general of this family. And I believe that one day I will dance with him at his prom, because I do believe in the positive affirmation. So thinking that, I might be stupid, I know, I might be blind, but I'd rather live in a hope that things will get better than being, just totally depressed that it will be very bad. So in the darkest hour, and it can be very different to all of us. It does not have to be so, let's say, tough as in our case. You always do realize what matters most. And it is your life. You are responsible for what you do with your life. We decided to fight. I mean, yeah, we are fighters, and I didn't want to be a victim. Can happen. And I am not saying that it's bad, because I see quite a lot of people in a daily care where Max is now going every day. You see some people who do not have, let's say, the possibilities, do not have the voice, do not might not have the inner strength, finances to fight. So they seem to be quite burnt out. And I do understand that as well. But I have decided to go the other way around. You could see him here. He's now 6 years old. He's quite skilled, on his wheelchair. And yes, he is a beautiful child. So we always say that at least God was sort of merciful for him for being so nice. And he is a sunshine. He always makes you happy. And believe me, he is the happiest child you've ever seen. He's smiling all the time. And I always say, okay, sometimes we feel bad. We feel bad at work or, relationships. But then I do remember, him and saying, okay, I mean, what do I have as troubles, right, compared to him? Because to illustrate it, for him to lift up his hand was like something, if you had a sack here of 10 kilos, so it's very difficult for him, but he is improving. And I also do believe into the power of science. So, you don't know what will be tomorrow. I mean, positive things, right? So we are trying to make him stand. It's, life is not always so shiny, right? He has nappies, which is not so convenient when you have a 6-year-old child, but okay, I mean, fine. On the other hand, he's a master of PlayStation. Nobody would ever believe that this child can handle the remote control, and he knows exactly what to do and how to do it. So, he's very clever, and he actually loves jokes, which, as the doctors say, it is a sign of intelligence. So we are very happy for that. He loves swimming. Water, as water is helping with his movement. So So usually when we go we try to go to the sea in the summer, because the salted water is really a paradise for him. So that's the only time in my life when I never put on weight, even though I eat really Greek fatty stuff, because I'm like 6 hours all the time in the water, running around him and jumping. So, I always love to go to Greece because it's perfect for your conditions. And because I decided not only that, okay, I have a disabled child, I need to live with that, and I'll do anything I can with my husband to make him happy and ideally walk and talk. But we also decided that there is a silver lining to every cloud. So I started 3-4 years ago his profile on Instagram. People were telling me, come on, nobody wants to see a handicapped and sick child on Instagram. There are only purses and beautiful girls and makeups and I don't know what. So, but again, I said, okay, I will do my own way. So now, after 2 or 3 years, we have done more than 10,000 followers. Every day I'm posting stories on just the life that we live. There we go we drive to the kindergarten, that we are playing or eating, or he's trying to say mama, or, things like that. And first of all, maybe it is sort of a therapy for myself as well, because, I don't want to hide anything. On the other hand, I am getting a lot of messages from a lot of people that, and this is what I wanted most, is that it gives them hope that, again, in the darkest hour, you can be happy. That happiness is not given by faith, but it is about the decision, and that you can find ability in everything. So this is sort of my small project that I have on top of work. And I just try to summarize the thoughts that are somehow forming our life, or, as a family. And it's a lot about, Scandinavian hygge, being happy with small things in life. I mean, when this happens to you and your life is ruined, then you, in a way, get a lightness of being. You don't care about so many things because you know that other things matter most, which is a little bit tricky with the older son, with Ben, because he has learned from us, Mom, there are worse things in life, which is fine. But when he got another bad grade at school from math, I was not so happy about it. So I was trying to tell him that there are important things in life, such as your grades, but fine. I also think if you are in trouble, to me, it helps. After all, tomorrow is another day. A famous quote of Scarlett O'Hara from Gone with the Wind. Yes, because believe me, there are moments. And yesterday, I actually met with a famous actress in the Czech Republic, Maholena Bočanová, who has a 20-year-old daughter, mentally disabled. And we had lunch, and it was very interesting talk. And after many, many months, when she left, I was just sitting in the restaurant and crying. She didn't say anything sad. She is so strong and she is so balanced in her life. It was just that sometimes, of course, you go down, or you pity yourself, or you pity your child. It was just, and then you feel like, oh, what will be with my child when he's not here, or when I am not here, when I die or something. So, and then he said, okay, I'll think about it another day. Let's take care about the problems when they come, because otherwise I would be paralyzed. So, and then I had to believe for the best. And I do also believe that we as a family are trying to do most that we can. Well, and, last but not least, again, to this, making the most of what has life given to you. I have been addressed last year by one of the interviews that I was actually doing at the Heroin magazine. about work-life balance, disabled children, etc. I was addressed by one of the senators, independent senators. He asked me for a meeting, so I went there thinking, what on earth can he want from me, you know, and da, da, da. And then he actually proposed to me whether I do not want to run a candidacy for the Senate. And I was like, me for the Senate, huh? But then we started to think about it, talk about it. So it is actually going to be close to 1 year that I'm working on it. And this year in September, I will run for the Senate of the Czech Republic at Prague 6, where I do live. It is believed to be the most difficult part, because a very strong gentleman is trying to rerun again to the Senate. He's very popular here. It's very different nature to me. He's a very respectable gentleman. He talks a lot about democracy and about education. And then it's me with my child on a wheelchair talking more about that. I want to support the disabled people. I want to support the elderly people, because my mom was living when she was sick for many years with us. So I know exactly what does it mean. What are the obstacles that you need to face, how the state is not really helping you. So I have prepared many points that I would love to change. And the main motto that I have is to have to let every voice to be heard, because I do believe that the civilization is as strong as it can take care of the weakest ones, which in my eyes are disabled, are the informal carers. Do you know that informal carers in this republic account for more than 1.5 million people? Almost in every family, you find somebody who has to take care of somebody else who is either sick, disabled, or simply old. So, yeah. So I know it's not very political, like economy, or I'm not talking about inflation, etc. But I'm talking about kindness, that I do believe that we all need in life. So, and everything behind that was actually Marx, you know, a small disabled child. So I do believe, as I'm a big fan of Lord of the Rings, where they say that even the smallest person in the world can change the world. So thank you. I hope I kept the time.
Definitely. Thank you also, Lenka, for sharing all this with us. It was also very motivational. And I have a couple of questions. One question would be basically, what do you think motivates you best and most when you tackle difficult situation? Like, or for instance, if you deal with your family issues and also with Max, what supports you most? Is it does a community help, or is it discussion, talking, sharing your worries and troubles with somebody? What does help most? Because I think each of us sometimes tackles difficult situations, so it would be good to know.
Well, in my case, it's more I'm not so much type. Of course, you do share with the closest ones, with your family and with your friends, but as a first step, I am the one to chew it inside of myself. And what does help me, and I know it sounds boring, it's the discipline. So it was the thing that when we found out about Marx and you feel really down, etc., then you start to say, okay, but I need to work because I need to feed the family. I mean, money, unfortunately, do not grow on the tree, which is, I mean, it would be lovely, but it's not happening, at least not in our garden. So I simply say, okay, I need to work, I need to do this. So I'm simply making, one by one what to do. And then sometimes it does help to speak. And gentlemen will allow me to say, but especially for us women, just to talk with your girlfriends and, talk it through. But I do believe that first you need to find the strength inside of you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. And also when you mentioned, because we're also talking about diversity today, and you mentioned that your company actually produces Barbies, which are also diverse. So what do you think, how the sales are going, how they are developing? Because some people may say, okay, but kids want just the beautiful, Barbies, which they used to have all the time. So what about
Yes, you are right. You are right. Not so many parents will buy a Barbie on a wheelchair. So at the beginning, 2 years ago, it was rather a PR item. But nowadays, it's a couple of hundreds per year that we sell in the Czech Republic. Plus, of course, I do believe that it is also our, let's say, role of the companies to promote these toys more. So we are actually working now in connection with the Disability Day in December, that we will run a big campaign in EMEA, in Europe, for Mattel, basically showing this. And we believe, as also Roman from IKEA said, it is our role, and you can slowly teach the audience as well. So yeah, it is growing. I mean, of course, mermaids are selling better, but you never know.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Lenka, for everything. And now we will pass the floor to Petr Vyhnánek. Petr is from Revenium NGO, and he's member of the board. And this actually NGO deals with employment of people with disabilities. So Petr, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. I will try to start my presentation. Hope everything will be okay. So wait a minute, please.
Of course.
So this is this one, and whole screen. Yes, so it's okay for you. It's possible to see the presentation or no?
I have to say that I can see the presentation, but it's still in PDF, although I think you did it well and you tried to share it on the full screen. But I think we only see the PDF basically also with the headlines like Domovská stránka and so on. But you can maybe try again, and if it doesn't work, I think we can also work with this because we can easily see all the slides.
Okay, so I will try it one more.
Mm-hmm. And in the meantime, I can say that Revenium is Czech. So again, yes. It shows that we also invited not only Nordic companies, but also Czech NGOs. And now we can see it perfectly.
Yeah.
So I just had to say that you come from the Czech Republic.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. So thank you very much for your introduction of Revenium. We are NGO 5 years old, and we are trying to change something in employing of persons with disability. We are employer. We have about 90% of employees with a disability. It's about 40 people with different diagnoses, and we're also working on the field of social entrepreneurship. We have coffee roastery near the Prague, and we prepare or make working position for people with disability from Mělník and Kokořín and this area in our social business and specialty coffee roastery. So it's very briefly about us, and we also working together with companies from open labor market or regular labor market, like IKEA from your Nordic Chamber, for example, with ExxonMobil, etc. And we're working together on the field of education, because it's very often about education, what's disability, what's employee with disability, how to prepare condition for employing, and it's never-ending story in each company. It's a very long run for us. So it's the second part of our activities. So I will start with very briefly definition. Who is a person with disability, or PWD is the abbreviation in Czech language. Osoba se zdravotním postižením, or OZP is the Czech abbreviation. It's a professional legal definition prescribed a person who has a limited ability to work due to illness, injury, or congenital disorders, and it's a person who is able to work but has somehow limited in the labor market. So it's different to find or make a special condition for these people, and not each person with disability is able to work, but a lot of them are able. I will talk about this later. We are starting with discussion with companies with Czech Constitution and the Charter of Fundamental Rights and Freedoms, because there is in Chapter 4 in Article 29 there is it's a basic of discussion about employing of a person with disabilities. So there are women, adolescent, and handicapped person are entitled to increased protection of their health at work and to special working condition. It's a basic of discussion with each company, and it's about preparing the special work conditions. It's a basic, and this is the start to think how to make this special work conditions and make the positions more suitable for people or persons with disabilities. I will talk about this later. So the legal framework, it's only for information. There is a constitution, there is an act on employment, labor code, and etc. It's not necessary to read and describe. It's a lot of legals which make the framework of employing of person with disabilities here in the Czech Republic. And what is a person with disability? Are there any difference between categories? We have three categories of disability: third, second, and the first, of people who are recognized as a disabled. It's in Czech OZP, or people with invalidní důchod in Czech language, or there are also physically challenged persons. It's different because these persons doesn't receive any invalidity pension, but have some kind of health impairment. It's OZZ, the abbreviation osoba zdravotně znevýhodněná. It's the lowest category of disability. For employers, it's not very important to know what's the grade of the disability. But it's very important to find what the disabled person can do, what her abilities, experiences, education, and also health limitations. And it's much more important to know this information, have this information from the employee with disability. It's not important to know diagnosis. It's not important to know it's in third degree. I know we have colleagues with third degree disability, and they work for a full-time job and have no problem to make it. They work 2 hours in the morning, then they make a rest 2-4 hours during the day, and the last part of the day in the evening, and there's no problem, and it's a third degree, and and also there are physically challenged people who has much more problems with their health, and are not able to work for a full-time job. So it's very, very individual, and it's very important to discuss and find abilities, not speaking about disabilities, but speaking with colleagues, people, new employees, about abilities, experience, about her education, and also limitations, and what are their special needs. We have bus drivers without legs in Pardubice, and it's no problem. He has automat and run with people. There is no limitation. So it's very important to talk not about this, but about abilities, not about diagnosis. Few numbers. We have in each country, it's not only Czech Republic, each country has about 10%, between 10-13% of persons with disabilities. In Czech Republic, it's over 1 million people with disabilities who live here in the Czech Republic. About 700,000 are in a working age, and not all from these 700,000 are able to work. It's about 500,000, 500,000 are able to work. So it's in each company are people or employees with disability. Maybe the companies don't know about these people because they are worried to ask, to say, I have some problem, I have this limitation, I have this disorder. There are roughly half 500,000 people who are afraid to publicly admit that they have a handicap or they are a person with disability. What kind of diagnosis can persons with disability have? It should be mental disorders, people with lower IQ, physical disorders, people with birth defects you heard about in presentation before, paraplegia, polio, people with amputation, people with hearing disorders. It's not only deaf people, it's also people who have hard of hearing, people with visual disabilities, with low vision, with remnants of sight, and also blind people, people with internal diagnosis, celiac, Crohn's, heart diseases, people after transplantation. It should be diagnosis, very, very large immunological diseases, psoriasis, multiple sclerosis, diabetes, asthma. It should be people after oncological therapy. It should be people with neurological diseases, epilepsy, Parkinson's disease. And also very big category are persons with psychological or psychic diseases, depression, schizophrenia, neurotic disorders, bipolar disorders, etc., etc. A lot of people have problem with this diagnosis after COVID years. The psychic situation, it was very, very bad for this mental health of people, and also it should be combination of diagnosis. It's not only about one, but it's not necessary to know what I said. It's not necessary to know diagnose, but it's very necessary to know what special conditions employee need, because it's different. So it's about diagnosis. And what's about a few words about labor market? We have in Nordic Chamber there are mostly companies from free labor market. It's not regular companies, common employers who has a duty to employ mandatory proportion of disabled. It's here in Czech Republic since 2002, and it's 4%. It's from the law, and it's the same for any entity on the free labor market. Commercial company, state institution, or state owned institution like schools, etc., etc., and also for a non-profit organization, if they have more than 25 employees. So the duty is the same for each employee who has more than 25 employees and is obligated to employ one disabled person for each 25 health health. So it's a law. It's a law for the free labor market, and there are three ways, three possibilities how implementing this mandatory duty. The first, employing to prepare position for disabled people, 4%. If it's not possible, not each employer is able to prepare 4% of positions for people with or persons with disability. The second is payment to the state budget, something like tax, or maybe tax we can say. So payment to the state budget, and it's or contributions to the state budget, and it's a 2.5 times the average wage from the last year. For the last year, it's about 92,000 Czech crowns for each missing person or employee person with a disability in company. So 90,000. Or it's possible to purchase of goods or services from employers who employ more than 50% of disabled employees. So this is companies, NGOs from the sheltered labor market, something like revenue. We are also on the sheltered labor market, because we have more than 50% of persons with disability, and the amount of these goods or services is for the last year about 260,000 Czech crowns for each missing PWD. So it's three possibilities: to employ, to pay to the state budget, or support with goods or purchase of goods or service employers on a sheltered labor market. For the payment to the state budget, it's important to say that it's not amount or this tax. It's not make any fund for supporting of persons with disabilities. It's same like the other taxes, and the state worked with this, build new roads and pay everything. It's not special fund from which are, for example, NGOs who support PWD, and no, it's a regular tax, and it's one part of state budget, and it's up to state how to use and or how to work with this money. There are a lot of myth or false beliefs about employing of PWD. It's impossible to fire a disabled colleague. No, it's the same. We have health colleagues, disabled colleagues. The law is the same for all. There are no differences. It's absolutely the same. People with disabilities are more likely to fall ill. It should be, but it's important to make work conditions or prepare the condition office how to minimize this situation. It's not possible to say everyone you will work for 8 hours per day, 42 hours per week. Then maybe people with disability will more ill. There should be more illness than the rest of employees. Employee with disability is less resistant to stress and more likely to struggle with their workload. It's important to find suitable position for disabled people, to find position which doesn't produce stress situation, for example, for people with some psychological problems. So it's the same to find suitable position for disabled because of ability, because of the health or the disadvantage. It's necessary to make or think about shared jobs for persons with disability, or prepare new position. It's very hard to find. I have free position, and I want to find on the other side employee with disability. It's very hard to put together these two categories. So it's important in to think also about preparing or making new jobs, new positions, new defined jobs in companies, and then put this together with my colleague or alumni from the school with disabilities. So it's very important to be open to thinking about differences in my company, in description of position. It's very important to find ways, not to have. I have position 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I want to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 person with disability. It's very hard to find. It's not possible to find, and it's different. It's different than with health employees. So it's the thing, and it's also very important to think about special support for people. It's very important to make atmosphere or open atmosphere that the persons with disabilities are not worried to speak about their life, their problems, their health with colleagues. It's very important to educate the teams that there will be colleague and there have this problem, need 2 hours free times during the day, and it's nothing bad for the others, for the rest of the team. So it's very important to find and educate the teams also. Why to employ PWD? Because it's legal obligation. It's necessary. There are also these economic aspects of employing PWD, what I said. There should be benefits of employing for market positions as a company which is responsible. It's also benefit, and there is an effect of diversity. It's conference or workshop about diversity, and the effect of diversity of the team is very important. It's very important that in the team meets together different people, different life, different problems, different health conditions, and talk about it, talk together. And I will tell it about in the last sentence about these things. And how to find disabled employees. What I said, every job position is suited for disabled. If a disabled have got sufficient education, experience, practice, and it's important to make it's important individual approach. It's important discuss about needs. Someone should have problem with dress code because of psoriasis. Someone need to have space near toilet for a person on a wheelchair, for a person with a Crohn. Someone need to have private working space, not work in a large open space office. Somebody needs to have a specific daily routine. Somebody need different chair, not sit on a wheelchair. Some has a special dietary needs. So in company canteen, it's very nice to prepare special meals for celiacs, for example. Somebody from some persons with disabilities don't have a driving license, so it's important to make a position without needs of driving. Some people with visual disabilities need specific lightnings, so it's very necessary at the beginning to discuss not about disabilities but about the needs, and to find to have a maximum individual approach and find discuss, and also last but not least to be open to part-time jobs. It's maybe the first thing to open thinking about time in jobs, not as a what's very often here in the Czech Republic, 8 hours and there is no way. So it's very bad. It's if you are not able to prepare shared position or make part-time jobs or open or it's very important to be open to home office. Here COVID helps us to make to open this possibility. So the part-time is for me number one, and because without part-time jobs it's very hard to find or open the company to more people with disability. So what for a conclusion, maybe the fact that I'm not disabled now doesn't mean that everything can be different tomorrow. And it's not only disabled people or person, it's also about other people. I can broke my legs today and need special conditions for work from tomorrow. So it's not only about long time or for whole life disabled people. It's also about special conditions for regular employees in the company. So very briefly, for an introduction about these topics, and I think for conclusion, it's important to be open, to find ways, and to find abilities. To find abilities, not the problems and what's it's not possible to do. It's possible to find how to do it. Maybe.
Thank you, Peter. That is a very good, positive conclusion. And you mentioned that there are approximately 1 million people with disabilities in the Czech market. So then probably it's not that challenging for the employer to find them. Probably also statistically, every company already has people like that. But how does this work? Do they have to, do the companies have to prove that they are hiring somebody with a disability? How does this work?
I think it's for companies. It's very open, very important to talk about this, to educate the company about it's that the disability. It's not only it's not only about people on the wheelchairs. It's about a lot of different categories, and not every disabled person without wheelchair must be bipolar or some psychological diagnosis. It's very because it's a myth. It's some small talk and who is something. I mean, how to communicate with him. So it's important to make very friendly atmosphere in the company, educate team leaders, educate the board, educate all employees about these topics, about this, who is a person with disability and how to communicate with him, what's his or her special needs, and it's very important to make very open atmosphere. It's not taboo. It's part of our lives. It's people who are living here together with us, and it's important to educate companies, to educate employees, and to educate team leaders. It's a basic, and then the company is open. There are no taboos, and it's possible change thinking of the people. I think the employing of persons with disability, it's about changing of mind settings, of changing of thinking.
Thank you. And when we look at the legal obligation to employ the people or buy the products, can Revenue help companies, maybe from the chamber? And
absolutely. We know about the companies from the sheltered labor market. So if you want to find something who make catering, who offer legal services, who make IT support, there are a lot of different companies on the sheltered labor market, and we are discussing with companies how to find them, who are from our point of view okay, who works very, very good, who support the people with disability in their company, and we are very open to find different and recommend different companies from this shelter labor market to others. So we are making with, for example, what I said with Vodafone. We are working together with Komerční banka. We are working with ExxonMobil. We are starting with IKEA, etc. Quite big companies, and it's one part of our services for cooperation with these companies from free labor market. So
I think
don't hesitate to contact us.
Regarding the Danish embassy, I think we always solve, the catering for our events. So maybe at some point we can also approach you. So thank you so much for your presentation, and also thanks to all the panelists, to Roman, Kateřina, Lenka, and also to Lea Turčarová, who organized the whole online discussion. Thank you also to all the people who were listening to us or who were watching us. It was actually a pleasure to be moderator here. I was happy to be part of today's event. And as far as I know, the Nordic Chamber plans other events in June, and they will be more about topics such as sustainability, green economy, green transition. So I'm sure you will soon receive more invitations. So thank you to everybody, and have a nice day, and hopefully see you next time.